Your ego is your biggest enemy. So that's today's topic. I think it's going to be a quick one and also a very insightful one. I think it's fair to say there's people out there that don't understand that they have an ego for one, but also understanding the meaning of what your ego is. To put into easy terms to understand, an ego is also studied in psychology quite a lot in psychoanalysis. It's the part inside you that juggles between your unconscious and your conscious mind, and a lot of the time it's given in the form of the devil and the angel on your shoulders, and your ego is the one in the middle controlling them, right? Your ego has full control over the what choices it has. So your ego controls basically what choices you do, right? So judging by the title, we're going to be delving into why your ego is your biggest enemy, and if it's not used correctly or if it's not monitored correctly, you could end up in a deep hole, and this can translate into a numerous number of effects. Since we've established what ego is, I want to dissect what I mean by the title, right? So if something's your enemy, it means it's against you, right? And you ask yourself, if there's this non-physical thing inside me that is controlling my everyday decisions, how can it be against me, right? Yeah, that's a good question. This is where the whole entitlement comes in, right? So let's say you have an ego. By the term, if you have an ego, it means, let's say in a niche subject, it means you're better than other people in that subject. You think you're better than other people in that subject. So for example, let's say I'm the best at running. Therefore, in my mind, I'm better than everyone else running. So if anyone ever tries to critique me, how's that going to go down? I'm obviously going to be like, no, I don't care. I'm better than you. I don't care about your opinion, right? So you're never open to ideas that may improve your running. You're never open to any sort of improvement in that niche, for example, right? Why you ask yourself, why is this dangerous? I mean, it's quite self-explanatory from this point on, right? So you can see that if you're not getting any improvement, and you're thinking you're the best, when in reality you probably aren't the best, you're only going to go from a level like this, that maybe you were high. Let's say you were on a high level, not the highest, but you're on a high level. If you're not taking any improvement and advice from people, regardless of how good they are at running, you're only going to either plateau or get worse. You can never get better because you've never taken improvements from other people, and by that I mean critiques from other people, and thinking you're the best and not even practicing as much. How are you going to get better? You're only going to decline. And then the ironic thing is, therefore, the people that you thought that were worse than you are now actually going to get better than you because they're way more open to criticism for improving, putting in the effort. Because in their head, in their egos, telling them, or they've told their ego, sorry, that they aren't the best, so they want to improve. And so it's almost like, again, with the analogy of the devil and the angel on your shoulders. In the first case, we've got the devil controlling their thoughts and actions, right? And saying you are the best, you don't need to practice, don't care about anyone else. And the other people that, let's say, are below them in skill level, they've got the angel speaking. They're trying to improve, they're listening to other people, they're putting in the effort. And there's a big difference between the two characteristics, right? So the trap that you don't want to fall into is letting the devil take over, right? So your ego just completely getting controlled by that devil figure, right? Then you ask yourself the quick question, well, how do I avoid this? No one ever wants to have an ego. I personally have had an ego before, and guess where I ended up? I ended up here and then down. It works both ways. Sometimes in life you don't realize how things affect you until it actually affects you personally. You hear people talk about stories and give examples from their own points of view, but I do agree that sometimes in life you just have to go through it. It's just part of your own learning experience to take an L here and there and learn from it and bounce back, right? That's the key word. You learn from it, right? Learn. So back to the point, how do I avoid it? The easiest way to avoid this is by, one, never being entitled, right? I've mentioned this before in one of the videos, but never acting like the world owes you anything, right? And by that, like I said, I mean entitlement. You personally, I'm talking to you and me included, everyone doesn't deserve anything. You have to work for everything that you have. You have to put the effort in. Yes, there'll be points in life where you've hit a good level. Let's just give a niche topic again. We'll carry on with the running topic, right? Let's say you like Usain Bolt, right? Was the fastest runner, 100-meter sprinter for men for many, many years, right? And I believe it has been changed now. Correct me if I'm wrong. But so obviously he was the best. He literally was the best, right? He was the best of the best at that sport. So how can he get any better? Well, the answer is he can. It's done on time, right? Yes, he may be better than everyone around him, But is he better than his yesterday self, his previous self? That's up for him to decide. He could have got that fastest time and then, given up, which kind of is what happened, right? But the correct answer to that question is you can always be better than someone. People forget that your person yesterday is someone, right? So me yesterday on the 27th of October 2021 was someone else compared to today. Two different entities, right? One's in the past, one's in the present. I can always be better than my past self. So if I implement that into my thinking, how can I be better? How can I improve when I'm already the best at my sport? Well, the correct answer is beat your time yesterday. Beat your time a week ago. Keep beating your time. Keep improving. If we're still talking about the running topic, right? This way, you avoid the entitlement trap, which I think is a very common trap for people my age, younger, and also even older, going into up to 30. I'd say I don't even think there's an age limit on it. I think it's to do with your upbringing, your environment that you're surrounded in as well, and the people you hang out with. Like it's very prominent in people my age due to lack of experience, which is the main cause, I believe, lack of experience, but also I think lack of consciousness in terms of understanding not only themselves but the people around them, and realizing like their actions have deeper consequences to what they may seem on the surface. So it's very important we avoid this entitlement trap, avoid any sort of restrictions to our growth, right? And this is only usually done through our ego. If you never admit or get into your head that you are the best at something, you'll always be able to improve, correct? It makes sense. And I think it's a great way to live. It's just being humble. You should never say you're the best. You should prove it through your actions and keep proving it through your actions. If it's done through your actions, like I said in one of the previous videos, it's not cockiness, it's pure confidence. People are appreciating your efforts, again, let's say in running, through your times, through your races, through all this, through your actions, right? Rather than me going around saying, I'm the best runner in the world. Obviously, every now and then, it's probably, I can imagine with you saying, for example, would have been nice to be like, yo, I'm the fastest man in the world. I guarantee he said those words numerous amounts of times, and I would have as well. But it's about not getting caught up in that mindset in that moment, and I'm sure he didn't, and that's why he's as successful as he is today in terms of running, right? So just keep in mind your ego can be your worst enemy if not used correctly. So always keep it in check, make sure you're staying humble, and avoid that entitlement trap. I just wanted to add this point in the end as well, because we were obviously talking about a niche, but it applies to the general basis of life, right? You don't want to ever have your ego or have an ego in life, because this usually leads to a lot of disrespect towards a lot of people. It can be on, job status, social status. Those are two that jump to my mind straight away. So it's very important to stay always respectful and humble in that aspect. And that avoids not only confrontation with others, but it just creates a much more positive environment to live in, not with just yourself, but with your peers and with people that you've never met before. It creates that overall positive bubble. That's what we should be aiming for. Obviously, there will be people you don't get along with, don't see eye to eye on certain topics, but it doesn't mean you have the right to show disrespect via your ego taking control and throwing shots at certain things that they do or that they believe in. Just respectfully talk about it, and hopefully create a more positive space for people to live in.